Hello everyone. So in this video, we'll try to compare what simple interest and compound interest both. In the previous video, we have discussed the basics of SI and CI. Let's try to compare both the interest here. Now let's take a case here. A sum of 10,000 is lent out at 10% per annum interest. Let's take the case of simple interest first. So I'll take interest year. This is the first year. Fine. Our principal is 10,000. Interest for that year. 10% of 10,000 will give you 1,000 here. So the total interest will become 1,000 and the amount payable at the end of the year will become 11,000. What about second year? If you don't repay your amount, again the principal remains same and you'll get one more year. Interest will be 1,000. So the total interest will become 2,000 and the amount payable at the end of 2 years will become 12,000. What if you use it for third year? The principal becomes 10,000. Interest will remain same and the total interest will become 3,000 and the amount due will become 13,000. If you use it for fourth year, it becomes 10,000, 1,000 will be added, and the total interest will become 4,000, and the amount remains 14,000. Now let's try to understand what's the pattern here. Look at this one. The principal remains constant here. Every year, the principal remains constant, and the interest for any year is also constant. Every year, there'll be an interest of 1,000. What about total interest? It will form an AP where there'll be a gap of 1,000 every year. So I can easily tell you that the total interest for 7 years will be 7,000. And look at the column of amount. It will also make an AP, arithmetic progression. The difference is of 1,000 here. And we have already discussed this drawback. Here, the principal remains same every year. This was a drawback which was covered in the case of what? Compound interest. Let's look at the case of compound interest also. First year. If you take first year, let's say the principal is 10,000. So the interest will be how much? 1,000. And the total interest will be 1,000. And the amount becomes how much? 11,000. This much will be due at the end of 1 year. If you want to use it for second year, there'll be a change. Now the principal will become 11,000. That means now the interest will be charged on 11,000. What's 10% of 11,000? I'll say 1,100. So what do we get here? The total interest will become 2,100 and the amount payable will become 12,100. Yes or no? If you use it for third year, now the principal will become 12,100 and interest on 12,100 will be 1,210. This will be added here. This gives you 3,310 and the amount payable will become 1,3310. If you use it for fourth year, interest will be charged on 1,3310, which is equal to 1,331. So what will be the total interest? Look at this one. It will be 4,641. And the amount payable at the end of 4 years will become 14,641 rupees. Now, if you try to compare this, look at this principal is not constant. It's 10,000, then it became 11, then it became 1 to 1. It is increasing at the rate of 10%. So this will give you GP, that is geometric progression. Same will happen here. Yes or no? So the principal will never be same. Interest for a particular year will not be same. That's the basic difference between simple interest and compound interest. Now let's try to compare the first column of both SI and CI. When you compare both of them, there is no change. That means if you're going to borrow money, the SI or CI for only 1 year, there'll be no change. But the change will start from second year onwards. Look at this one. The amount payable at the end of second year is 12,000. And here it's 12,100. Because now we'll be getting interest on interest. Let's see what's the breakup of this 1,100. Why I am paying 100 rupees extra. Let's try to understand this concept because this will be used in the questions as a shortcut. See, first year I got 1,000 interest on this 10,000. So I'll write 1,000 here. And I'll be getting interest on this 1,000 also because this 1,000 was also used by the customer for 1 year. Now, what is 10% of the 1,000? That is 100. That's why the total interest here is 1,100. What about the next year? Why I'm getting 1,210? I'll tell you. This 1,000 will be charged on the principal, then 100 on this 1,000. Interest will be charged on this 1,000 also. And interest will be charged on this 1,000 also. So you get 100 more. And interest will be charged on this 100 also. 10% of 100 will be what? 10 here. Let's see this in the different table. What was the first year's compound interest? It was 1,000. Second year, I said it's 1,100. It's 1,100. Why it's 1,100? I'll tell you. This 1,000 was charged on what principal? Yes or no? So second year, I'll be getting this 1,000 as an interest. Plus, the customer has also used this 1,000. So 10% of 1,000 will give you how much? 100. That's why it will be 1,100. What was the interest third year? What was the value of interest third year? If you remember, it was 1,210. How do we get this 1,210? First of all, I'll charge interest on this principal. 10% of principal, we know that. It's 1,000. Now the customer is using this 1,000, which was generated in the first year. So I'll charge interest on this 1,000 also, which is equal to 100. I'll charge interest on this 1,000 also, which will be equal to 100 more. And I'll charge interest on this 100 also, because compound interest is nothing but the interest on interest. Now, when you add these four figures, you will get 1,210. If you remember that, third year's interest was 1,331. Now, how do we get this 1,331? I'll charge interest on the initial principal P, which is equal to 1,000. Then I'll charge interest on this 1,000 and this 1,000 also, which must be equal to what? 100. I'll get one more 100. And I'll charge interest on this 100 also. So you get 300 say. Now I'll charge interest on this 100, which is equal to 10. I'll charge interest on this 100 also, which is also equal to 10. I'll charge interest on this 100 also, which is also equal to 10. And I'll charge interest on this 10 rupees also, which is equal to 1. So effectively, what you're getting is 1,000 plus this 300 plus this 30 plus 1. So effectively, it becomes how much? 1,333. Now, can you write the values for the next year? Let's see. First of all, I'll get 1,000 rupees interest on this principal. Then I'll get interest on this 1,000, second 1,000, the third one, this is the fourth one. That means this 100 will occur how many times? 4 times. Yes or no? And I'll start charging on this 100 also. How many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means 6 times you'll get 10 rupees. So I'll multiply it by 6. Then I'll charge interest on these 10 rupees also. This will give you how much? 10, 10, 10 will give you 40. Sorry, this will give you 1 rupees. That is equal to 4. The next time I'll charge interest on this 1 rupee also. 10% of 1 rupee will give you how much? It will be equal to 0.1. This is how you can make a table. Yes or no? And if you compare, look at this one. If you compare 2 years data here, what was the amount payable at the end of 2 years under SI? That was 12,000. And in case of CI, it was 12,100. Same is the case under what? Interest also. So can we generalize it? Look at this one. I can say that amount payable under CI for 2 years minus amount payable under SI for 2 years must be equal to what? R% of 1 year simple interest. You can cross check it using the values given in the table. Similarly, you'll get one more formula. You can say that the total compound interest for 2 years minus total compound interest for 3 years, sorry, simple interest for 2 years is also equal to R% of 1 year simple interest. So I can use these two formulas in the questions. Fine. This was a table made. So if you try to fill these values, you can directly write the values. This is clear on. Let's look at few values here. Let's try to solve this question here. Find the difference between the compound interest and simple interest earned on a sum of 20,000 at the rate of 20% per annum for a period of 3 years. Now see, I'm looking for the difference for 3 years, although we have a formula for 2 years, but I want to find the difference for 3 years. Now, what's the formula of compound interest? I'll say principal, which is equal to 20,000 into 1 plus R, that is 20, raised to the power 3 minus 20,000. This would be the compound interest for three on a principal of 20,000 at the rate of for 3 years. What about the simple interest? And it's 20,000 into the rate of interest is 20 into 3 by 100. Yes or no? What do we get here? I can say 20,000 is common. Inside the bracket, I'll have 1.2 cube, which is equal to 1.728 minus 1. So effectively, what do we get here? 20,000 into 0.728, which can be written as 20 into 728. What is double of 728? 1456. So you get 14,560 as a compound interest. What about the simple interest? These zeros will be cancelled out. You get 2 into 3, 6, 6 into 2, that is 12. And you get three zeros here. So the simple interest is only 12,000, while the compound interest is 14,560. So what's the difference in these 3 years? That's 2,560 rupees. Now this was one of the ways to find the difference. Let's see the shortcut here. Simple interest, compound interest, first year, second year, and third year. Let's try to make the table here. Fine. Simple interest every year remains same. 20,000, 20% of 20,000, that gives you 4,000. So first year simple interest should be 4,000. So using that logic, I can say second year it will remain same, third year it will remain same. So effectively, total simple interest comes out to be 12,000. What about the compound interest? If you don't want to use this formula, what you can say, first year compound interest will remain same, which must be equal to what? Simple interest. We have seen that in the table approach. What about the next year? Next year, the compound interest will be this 4,000, which is the interest on principal, plus interest on this 4,000 will also be calculated at the rate of 20%. Now, what is 20% of 4,000? I'll say 800. So, using the similar logic, can you write the interest generated in third year? I'll say 4,000 will be charged on principal plus 800 on this, 800 on this 4,000 plus 20% of this 800 also. Now that is equal to 160. When you add these values, what do we get? 4,800 and 800 plus 160. Yes or no? But you're looking for what the difference. This is 12,000. That's 4,000 plus 4,000 plus 4,000. That is 12,000. This is 2,400 and 160 more. So effectively, you get 14,560. What's the difference of these two values? Again, the answer is same. That is 2,560. So this table approach can be used as a shortcut here. Yes or no? Let's look at one more. The difference between NSI and CI for 2 years on the same sum at the rate of interest is at same rate of interest is 250. The difference between SI and CI for 3 years on the same sum at the same rate of interest is 775. Find the principal and the rate of interest. Let's try to make a table here. This is SI, this is CI. Fine. First year, second year, third year. Now, I don't know what was the principal. Let's say the principal is P. And let's say the simple interest on this principal is X rupees for the first year. So second year it will also be X. Third year it will also be X. What about the compound interest on the same principal P at the same rate of interest? I know that there won't be any change. Compound interest will remain same. That is X. But you know that the difference between SI and CI for 2 years is 250. That means second year, the compound interest should be X plus 250 rupees. That's why you can say that the sum of these two interests is 2x and these two will be 2x plus 250. So the interest for 2 years will become what? Difference for 2 years will become 250. What about the third year? Now we know that third year I'll be getting X rupees interest on a principal P. What else you'll be getting? You'll start getting interest on this X also. What was the interest on X? 250. So I'll be getting 250 here again. You'll get interest on this X also. That is also 250. And you'll be getting interest on this 250 also, but I don't know the rate of interest. Take it equal to y. So tell me what's the total simple interest generated here? I believe it's 3x. What about compound interest? It's x plus x plus x, that is 3x plus 750 plus y. And the difference of this compound interest and simple interest is already given in the question. How much? 775. So how do we write it? 3x plus 750 plus y, which is compound interest for 3 years, minus simple interest for 3 years is 3x. This is given equal to 775. When you solve this, what do you get? 750 plus y is equal to 775. So what's the value of y? It's 25. Yes or no? And what was y here? This y was the interest accumulated on this 250. So look at this, 25 is the interest generated on 250. So 25 is what percent of 250? I can say 10%. So easily you can say that rate of interest in this question is how much? 10%. Now the next part is what you need to find principal also. Okay, let's look at this. Can you find the value of x in? Can you find the value of x in? The rate is 10. What was y? It was 25. Now you're getting 250 rupees interest on what? This x rupees. 250 is the interest generated on this x rupees. And I know that the rate of interest is what? 10. 250 is 10% of some number. Can you find that number? 250 is 10% of which number? 2500. So I can say that the value of x has to be how much? 2500. Yes or no? But this is not your principal. This is 1 year's interest. This is 1 year's interest. Now, x is the interest generated on the principal P. And what was the rate of interest? 10%. Or tell me 2500 is 10% of which number? It's very easy. We can say that 25,000 must be the principal. 10% of 25,000 is 2500. So this will match the values here. So I can say that principal should be equal to 25,000 and the rate of interest should be equal to how much? 10%.